Let me ask you something. Who do you want to become? Not just what you want, but who you must become to deserve it. Because right now, in this very moment, there's someone out there working harder than you, training harder, grinding longer, pushing past the pain. The question is, will that be you? You see, success doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It rewards those who demand it, who fight for it, who are willing to become the hardest worker in the room, not once, not sometimes, but every damn day. This is not about being good, it's about being unstoppable. This is the hardest worker in the room too, because the game has changed and only those willing to level up will win. Step 1, the mindset of relentless pursuit. Success doesn't start with talent, it doesn't start with luck. It starts in the mind. It starts with a decision to never settle, never back down, and never accept anything less than your absolute best. The hardest worker in the room isn't the most gifted, they're the most relentless. They show up when they don't feel like it. They push forward when their body screams for rest. They go one more round, one more rep, one more hour, because they are fueled by something deeper than motivation. They have a fire inside them that refuses to go out. Most people set goals based on what's convenient. They work hard when they feel good, when the conditions are perfect, when they're motivated. But the hardest worker, they don't wait for the right moment, they create it. They understand that comfort is the enemy of greatness, that growth only happens in discomfort. They seek out the struggle, they embrace the grind, because they know that's where champions are made. This mindset is not something you wake up with, it's built. It's forged through discipline, through sacrifice, through the willingness to do what others won't. It's developed in the early mornings when everyone else is sleeping, in the late nights when the competition has already gone home. It's shaped in the moments of exhaustion, when your mind begs you to stop, but you find a way to push through. The relentless pursuit means there is no finish line. There is no made it. There's always another level. The hardest worker knows that even after they've reached the top, they have to fight to stay there. The pursuit doesn't end with success. It only intensifies. That's why they never slow down, never relax, never get comfortable, because they know the second they do, someone else is coming for their spot. This isn't about working hard sometimes. It's about making it a lifestyle. It's about committing every single day, whether you feel like it or not. The ones who win, the ones who dominate, they don't operate on feelings. They operate on standards. Their standard is excellence. Their standard is pushing past limits. Their standard is leaving no doubt that they are the hardest worker in the room. Step 2. Most people want success, but few are willing to pay the price. The difference between winning and losing, between greatness and mediocrity, is not talent. It's not intelligence. It's work. It's the willingness to go further, stay longer, and push harder than anyone else. The competition is always there. They're training, they're grinding, they're putting in the hours. The question is, are you willing to do more? Because when you step into the arena, whether it's business, sports, or life, it doesn't matter what you say you want. It matters what you've done when no one was watching. Outworking the competition isn't just about putting in more hours. It's about making those hours count. It's about working with intensity, focus, and a level of commitment that most people can't even comprehend. Some people show up and go through the motions. They do just enough to get by. But the hardest worker in the room, they show up with purpose. Every rep, every second, every action is intentional. They push their limits because they know that's the only way to break past them. You see, most people quit when it gets hard. They slow down when it starts to hurt. That's the difference. That's the gap. That's where champions are made, because the hardest worker in the room doesn't stop when they're tired. They stop when they're done. And even then they ask, what's next? It's easy to want something. It's easy to dream. But success is reserved for those who put in the work. Day after day, when nobody sees, when nobody cares, when there's no applause, no recognition, and no immediate reward. Because the real work, the work that makes all the difference, happens in the dark. It happens in the extra reps when your muscles are screaming. It happens in the late nights when your mind tells you to rest, but you choose to go one more round. It happens when you push through exhaustion, setbacks, and frustration because you refuse to let the competition outwork you. Some people look for shortcuts. They look for the easy way. They want the reward without the sacrifice. But the hardest worker, they know the truth. There is no secret. There is no magic formula. There is only the grind. There is only the effort you put in and whether or not you're willing to push beyond what you thought was possible. The competition is always moving. They're always improving. And if you're not outworking them, you're falling behind. It's not enough to be good. It's not enough to be great. You have to be relentless. You have to be willing to do what others won't, to endure what others can't, and to keep going long after everyone else has stopped. Step 3, the price of greatness. Greatness isn't handed out. Isn't given to the lucky or the privileged. It's earned, it's fought for, and it comes with a price that most people aren't willing to pay. Everyone wants success until they see what it actually takes, until they realize it demands everything. The price of greatness is sacrifice. It's the willingness to give up what's comfortable, what's easy, what's familiar in exchange for what's possible. It means missing the parties, the late night movies, the lazy weekends because you're in the gym, in the office, in the trenches doing the work. It means saying no when everyone else says yes, walking a lonely path while others choose the crowd. Because greatness doesn't come from doing what's popular. It comes from doing what's necessary. Most people want results, but they don't want the process. They want the rewards, but they aren't willing to suffer for them. They admire the champions, the billionaires, the record breakers, but they don't see the brutal discipline, the endless hours, the unseen battles. They don't see the pain, the sweat, the sacrifice behind the scenes. They don't understand the exhaustion, the self-doubt, the moments where quitting seems like the only option, but isn't. The price of greatness is pain. The pain of pushing past your limits, the pain of failure, the pain of working harder than everyone else and still coming up short, the pain of sacrificing relationships, sleep, and comfort for a vision only you can see. And that's why most people never achieve it. Because they break when it gets hard. They give up when it doesn't go their way. They refuse to endure the suffering required to reach that next level. But the ones who do, the ones who embrace the struggle, they understand that greatness isn't about how much you want it. It's about how much you're willing to give up for it. Because nothing truly great has ever been achieved without struggle. The greatest athletes have bled for their success. The greatest entrepreneurs have risked everything. The greatest minds have endured years of setbacks, failures, and ridicule before the world finally recognized them. The price of greatness is obsession. It's waking up every day and knowing that you will not be outworked. It's choosing discipline over distraction, growth over comfort, purpose over pleasure. It's pushing through exhaustion, pushing through pain, pushing through moments when everything inside you wants to stop because you know deep down quitting is not an option. The price of greatness is loneliness. It's spending years grinding in silence while the world moves on without you. It's feeling misunderstood, doubted, criticized. It's losing people along the way, friends, relationships, because not everyone will understand the level of commitment it takes. But the ones who do make it, they know the truth. The sacrifices were always worth it. The pain, the struggle, the loneliness. It all built something greater. It built someone unshakable, someone unstoppable, someone worthy of greatness. Step 4, mental toughness over motivation. Motivation is a spark. It feels good. It gets you started. It gives you that rush of energy. But motivation is unreliable. It fades. It disappears the moment things get hard. That's why the people who rely on motivation never last. They start strong. They talk big. They post about their goals. But when the excitement wears off, when life punches them in the face, they quit. That's the difference between the ones who try and the ones who dominate. The hardest worker in the room isn't fueled by motivation. They are fueled by something far more powerful, mental toughness. Mental toughness is what keeps you going when motivation is gone. It's the ability to push forward even when you don't feel like it, even when your body is tired. Even when your mind is screaming for you to stop, it's showing up every single day, regardless of how you feel. Because winners don't operate on emotions. They operate on standards. They don't ask, do I feel like working today? They say, this is who I am. This is what I do. Most people quit at the first sign of discomfort. The moment things get difficult, they back down. They tell themselves, maybe this isn't for me. But the ones who succeed, they don't run from pain. They embrace it. They understand that suffering is part of the process, that struggle is necessary, that success is built in the moments when you push through, even when everything in you wants to stop. Mental toughness means training when you're exhausted, studying when your mind is drained, showing up when no one is watching. It's waking up before the sun because you made a commitment to yourself and you refuse to break it. It's ignoring distractions, cutting out excuses, and refusing to let outside circumstances control your destiny. Because life doesn't care about your excuses. Your dreams don't care how tired you are. The work still needs to be done. The hardest worker in the room doesn't wait to feel ready. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They create the moment. They take action whether they feel like it or not, because they understand that discipline is stronger than emotion, that consistency beats intensity, that real success isn't about short bursts of effort. It's about showing up every single day, no matter what. Mental toughness is built in the moments when nobody is watching. It's forged through adversity, through failure, through setbacks that would break the average person. It's the ability to control your mind, to silence the doubt, to keep moving forward even when there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Because the toughest people don't need to see results to keep going. They just trust the process. They know that the work they put in today will pay off, whether it's in a week, a month, or 10 years. That's why the hardest worker in the room never stops. They don't get distracted by instant gratification, by quick fixes, by easy solutions. They play the long game. They put in the work day after day, whether they see progress or not, because they know the only way to truly win is to keep going when everyone else has given up. Step 5, the power of obsession. Most people want success, but they don't need it. They treat it like an option, something they'll pursue if it's convenient, if it fits into their schedule, if they feel like it. And that's exactly why most people never achieve anything great. Because success isn't for those who want it, it's for those who are obsessed with it. Obsession is what separates the average from the elite. It's the difference between dabbling in something and dominating it. When you're obsessed, there is no plan B, there is no backup option, there is no maybe. It's all or nothing. It's waking up every day, thinking about it, going to sleep, dreaming about it, structuring your entire life around making it happen. Obsession means sacrificing distractions, cutting out anything that doesn't serve your purpose, eliminating every excuse that could get in your way. Most people will tell you to live a balanced life. They'll say, don't take it too seriously. Don't let it consume you. Make time to relax. But those same people will be the first to tell you that you got lucky when you finally make it. They'll never understand the countless hours, the sacrifices, the relentless grind that went into achieving what they only ever talked about. Obsession isn't comfortable. It's not easy. It means choosing to work when everyone else is having fun. It means turning down distractions, skipping events, distancing yourself from people who don't share your vision. It means being so focused on your goal that nothing can pull you away from it. Others might call it crazy. They might say you're too intense, too extreme, too consumed. But that's because they don't have the fire you have. They don't understand what it takes to truly be great. The ones who win, the real champions, the true legends, the people who changed the world, they weren't balanced, they weren't casual, they were obsessed. Kobe Bryant wasn't just passionate about basketball, he was obsessed with it. Elon Musk doesn't just like innovation, he lives and breathes it. The greatest athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the highest achievers in any field, they all have one thing in common. They were willing to go all in when everyone else was making excuses. Obsession makes you different. It makes you relentless. It makes you willing to put in 12-hour days, 7-day weeks with no promise of immediate success. It forces you to keep going when logic says to stop, when exhaustion kicks in, when the world doubts you, because when you're truly obsessed, quitting isn't an option. Failure isn't an excuse. Setbacks aren't roadblocks, they're fuel. People who lack obsession will never understand why you work the way you do. They won't get why you wake up at 4 a.m., why you train when you're exhausted, why you study when others are partying. But that's what makes you different. That's what makes you unstoppable. The hardest worker in the room isn't just motivated, they're possessed by their vision. They're willing to give everything for it. Obsession is power. It keeps you focused when others get distracted. It keeps you moving forward when others quit. It forces you to dig deeper, push harder, and refuse to settle for anything less than excellence. It's not about being interested. It's about being all in. Step 6, rising above excuses. Excuses are the enemy of progress. They are the silent killers of dreams, the justifications people use to stay comfortable, to avoid the hard work, to remain exactly where they are. Everyone has them. Everyone has a reason why they couldn't start, why they had to stop, why things just didn't work out. But the truth, excuses don't build legacies. They don't create champions. They don't make history. The hardest worker in the room understands one thing. You either make progress or you make excuses. But you can't do both. Every time you justify not taking action, you reinforce weakness. Every time you let yourself off the hook, you lower your standards. And before you know it, you're stuck in the same place, telling yourself the same old story, watching others pass you by. Excuses are easy. They're convenient. They give you a way out when things get tough. But every time you choose an excuse over effort, you're choosing failure. You're choosing to stay average. Because success, it doesn't care about your excuses. The world doesn't owe you anything. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're stressed. It doesn't care if you had a rough childhood, if people doubted you, if things didn't go your way. The only thing that matters is whether or not you showed up and did the work. Most people let their circumstances control them. They say things like, I don't have enough time. I don't have the right connections. I wasn't born into wealth. But look around. There are people with the same struggles, the same disadvantages, the same setbacks who are out there winning. Why? Because they refuse to let excuses define them. They chose to rise above their circumstances instead of being a victim to them. Rising above excuses means taking complete ownership of your life. No blaming, no complaining, no waiting for someone to save you. It means understanding that where you are right now is a direct result of the choices you've made. And if you don't like it, you have the power to change it. It means looking in the mirror and admitting that if you're not where you want to be, it's nobody's fault but yours. It's easy to say you'll start tomorrow. It's easy to blame external factors, but the ones who succeed, they stop waiting for the right time. They stop looking for the perfect conditions. They get up and get to work no matter what. They understand that life will never hand them success. They have to take it. Rising above excuses means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means pushing past the fear, the self-doubt, the discomfort. It means refusing to let setbacks break you, choosing to learn instead of complain, choosing to adapt instead of quit. It's about finding solutions instead of problems, about controlling what you can and refusing to let anything hold you back. The hardest worker in the room isn't the most talented. They're the most disciplined, the most committed, the most relentless. Because while everyone else is making excuses, they're making moves. While everyone else is waiting for the perfect moment, they're creating their own opportunities. And that's why in the end, they win. At the end of the day, greatness isn't about luck. It's not about talent. It's about a relentless, unwavering commitment to being the hardest worker in the room. It's about refusing to make excuses, refusing to settle, and refusing to let anyone outwork you. It's about pushing yourself beyond your limits, training your mind to be tougher than your emotions, and staying obsessed with your vision no matter how many obstacles stand in your way. The journey to success is brutal. It will demand everything from you. It will test you, break you, and push you to the edge. But that's the price of greatness. And the only question that matters is, are you willing to pay it? Because in the end, it's not the most talented who win. It's not the smartest, the luckiest, or the most connected. It's the ones who showed up every day, who outworked the competition, who sacrificed, who stayed disciplined when motivation was gone. It's the ones who refuse to let pain, fatigue, or failure stop them. And when the dust settles, when the weak have fallen away, when the excuses have faded, there will only be one person left standing, the hardest worker in the room.